So I just finished reading chapter 5 of the same way I'll call The Girl from Headquarters. Now, this chapter is basically in two halves. One is world building, and the other one is all character stuff. Now, naturally, I'm more intrigued by the story and the characters than setting up the world, And when it's funny to say that when you say world building, I think most people are thinking you're setting up Middle Earth, right? That type of thing. You're setting up a fantasy world. But definitely for a book that came out in the 1950s, where going around the world flying wasn't, very common as it is now. Ascribing a little town in France that has that's near like the seesaw and has a bit of history and ascribing the community and ascribing the the country town that has a couple of casinos and hotels is at the time was probably at the same level as ascribing Middle Earth because it was a lottery. So knowing, ascribing, the community, ascribing this, ascribing that type of thing, it is it probably was this kind of amazing part of the scripture before heading towards the continuation of the story. Now, Now there was a little bit of detail where it's like, where's the chief? Where Bond has a car, that type of thing. Which clearly is hinting he has, there's gonna be things going on. Like, you don't mention Bond having a car without actually creating a car. You don't create a car, mention Bond having a car without using the car. So clearly it's hinting like, okay, we're gonna use Fleming's gonna use this thing later on, if it's next chapter or a couple of chapters later, whatever. Now, the second half of it was the more intriguing part, which is all about, as the title of the chapter says, is about Bond and Magnus meeting, mainly Bond. Magnus Bond meeting the girl from headquarters, aka Vesper. And clearly Fleming in this is trying to do a mystery of her. Like, she is a mystery character, and we are going to learn more of her as Bond is learning from her. Because all we know, her name is Monsieur Lin. That's it is. Her last name is Lin. Yeah. Now I know her name's Vesper because I've seen the 2006 movie. But outside, but in the context of the story, the context of the original source, she is a mystery. She is just a girl in headquarters that Bond called, like, without even meeting her, 5 minutes before meeting her, Bond thought she was a bitch because she was going to wreck everything. That women are too emotional. The 1950s mindsets, right? And then he meets her and is just stuck by her beauty. He's like, dark hair, black as eyes, with the brightest blues and blah 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 blah. And I would say this: the description of like the description of what's making Bond attractive, what makes Bond feel physically attracted to Vesper, and why it's everything, and the description of it. I was like, holy crap! Like, it's riveted, it's drawn in. You're like, having a visual picture in your head. I mean, naturally, having a movie counterpart is very easy to be like, oh, yeah, like I couldn't help but say like, huh, yeah, the casting directors and filmmakers of the same Royale 2006 week did a very good job casting Vesper here. I couldn't help but say that. I'm probably going to repeat myself with that, where, oh, you did a very good job casting this character from this movie, casting this character for the movie. Like, it's one of those situations. But you just find Bond is smithered and is like now all caring and loving, and not caring and loving, but more inclusive that he is. Like sorry, Madness is just talking to Bond and just pretending Vesper's not in the room. And Bond's like, come on, come on, what's your opinion on this? Join the conversation. And he's including her, And all it is clear, like but he's trying to keep his emotional feelings in check. There's a thing that happens in the first couple of the last chapter or two, where he basically says, "I need to keep needs to keep things officially, but don't lie. I want to sleep better. Like I want to, yeah, make sure Christmas comes more than once a year. The quote, the word's not enough. It's yeah, but he's like, I need to keep it professional, 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 and that is um yeah. So you have a sense of what his mindset is towards, even though he finds her stupidly gorgeous, that he understands the mission is first. So it's also a sense of what type of person he is, which is quite interesting because if you just see the movies, he's like, oh, beautiful woman, I will do my mission to sleep with you. Like it's a very different type. And, it's the first book, so you never know. There might be a different mindset of that, but you have that sense of it, um, a sense of who he is and what the differences are, and his what he finds out, the main objective, and how he's going to reach those objective. And certainly with Vesper, it's not gonna stop the sheep. So and win a game of play a game of battle act. So it's he understands the mission is hand, keep it professional, keep it professional, keep it professional. And Vespa, Vespa's nice and all that kind of stuff, and typical, like, there's dialogue in there, and clearly it's like three queer colleagues kind of getting along, and that, and Bond inviting Vespa to dinner because she's like, oh, I'll probably just eat out Westport alone, and Bond's like, why don't you tag along? Why you tag along? So clearly, there's going to be like, hey, this is going to probably be like that simple thing of work colleague, a relationship, kind of like a friendship kind of thing that spawns into a relationship. But it's a whole different set of worms. Probably it is a whole. Look, I'm planning to read two more chapters tonight, so I'm going to give my thoughts on that. But yeah, I dig like the second half of this. It's just really well put together. Really well put together. So chapter 6, two men in straw hats. This chapter, this week there isn't that much about this chapter than saying, okay, in chapter 5 it ended with a big explosion in the bar, and what we have is it ended with Mattress and Vesper's point of view of the explosion. Now it's time to see Bond's point of view, where he's just heading back to his hotel room, and he notices these two men in straw hats, hence the title of the chapter. They're carrying a odd briefcase. One is wearing blue and the other one is wearing red. And he's, inspecting everything. He's kind of like, the one thing this chapter basically does is show Bond's intelligence and how he's able to pick the smaller things that most people probably won't recognize. It's okay, it's just people walking with in a suitcase, but he thinks like something's going on here, like something's in that briefcase. It turns out it's a bomb. The bomb goes out a bit early, and clearly it's meant to blow up the bar, but it blows up a bit of the suite. Uh, Bond gets a bit of the fire, but he is caught a bit of the explosion. But just like hot wind flying him off, he's a bit winded. And then Magnus kind of finds him, walks walks into his hotel room, basically says, we'll deal with this in the morning. We'll deal with this tomorrow. You just rest, eat, and sleep. And then Vesper calls and say, "Hey, good luck. Good luck." It's kind of, it's not what you must do with this chapter. except like building on um the relationship between Bond and Vesper. And how like okay, there's that you can sense that there's always some chemistry going on here. There's some chemistry. So and it's not just Bond, you know. It's the easy thing of like, hey, it's not just Bond thinking, oh well, I find this woman attractive, but I can't do anything until like the miss is over, and Vesper's like, hey, I find you attractive too, but we can just hang out for dinner and all that. So it's there's not a lot to talk about. It is like 6 pages long, but there's not really much to talk about in this chapter, sadly. Um, except, and it could easily be, clearly the bomb is probably linked to Mashif, and the Russians and being expected and all that kind of stuff. So it's yeah, I mean, there's not a lot for me to talk about except saying, hey, this happened, liked it, shows Bond's intuition. But outside of that, there's not very much to explore and to kind of give my thoughts on the chapter for like it wasn't like it's not like last it's not like chapter 5 where I can talk about a lot of things about the chapter. This one's just very straightforward. Bond goes off. Bond gets fire is in the misfire. Master drags him, tells him to go to bed. He wakes up. Vesper says, "Good luck. I hope you're doing well," and that kind of stuff. So anyway, comment below. Let me know your thoughts on this chapter. Chapter 7, titled Wolfie the Gnar, which is basically, I mean, mostly three things happen in this chapter, and three big things. One is Bond's point of view of gambling, why he enjoys gambling, why he thinks it's a good entertainment, and how his point of view of it. Because what he does is go to the afternoon tables and basically just look how people are playing, look how it works, see how the the card dealers are doing with the cards, basically observing how things are kind of working around the casino, but also understanding his point of view, understanding that there's a difference between luck and bad playing. If you just are shit at it or just have bad luck, there's a difference. And he enjoys the sweat, the gambling, the drinking, the smoking, the chatter, he enjoys everything that happens in a casino, and it just dives into the character Bond, or at least the character Bond in this book. Because you never know, he might like might add layers or change him a bit, after the other the other 13 books. And plus, all the Bond point naturally change the moment the continuation books start to happen. And but then the other side of things is this is when he meets Felix, and it's clearly he meets Felix Leiter, the CIA opera, and clearly what it is, it's the classic. You're staring at me at the other end of the table, and that screams to me you're the CIA and you're American, so you must be this Felix Leiter guy. And turns out he is. And it's their bond of it, and that these guys get along. At this point, it's that situation where like people get along, people get along, and then it could easily be a situation where like, hey, it's a classic, get to know the characters, like the characters, enjoy what the characters are doing, and then immediately have whole shit happen to them, or like later on, in maybe our books or later in the story, whole stuff happens to the characters. So, but so far, it's just a simple thing of okay, you're the CIA guy, you want to help me. I mean, at this point, I'm getting a Scooby gang with Madness, Vesper, and now you, Felix. So all good, all good, dandy. Um, it's kind of interesting reading the descriptions of of Felix, Because you're thinking, okay, he's from Texas, he has a good southern drawl. All apparently all good Americans are from Texas, and all that. But he's like, he's thin, he's like 10 pounds thin, he's this and this and that. I was like, and it goes for like a page and a bit. Like I'm reading this on my phone on a Kindle app, on the Kindle app. And like this is going for like a page and a half of like Fleming explaining like how basically how the description of Felix like it's so dive into it. And and then the big thing, but it kind of shows that it's like, hey, okay, you want help, cool, awesome. Um, what we'll do is have you basically basically look at me at the game, or have this Lynn girl be by your side. You're not gonna play. You're not gonna play. She's a pretty face, but the book's words, not mine. Um, she's a pretty face, and just look around, just look around. So clearly, the weird thing is, clearly in the movie they took Felix kind of madness kind of got the Felix role, and Felix got the madness role, in the film, because it's the scene where basically Max is kind of explaining the game of Texas Hold'em to Vesper, which is basically Magnus explaining it to Vesper to us for people who don't understand how Texas Hold'em works. Um, so hopefully in this we get a more sense of how Bacchanal works, because naturally it's also a game that hasn't been around for a lot. Apparently it deals with a wheel, apparently. More likely. Maybe not. Maybe. And of course at the end it hints that the games are starting to go. The games will start. Which of course means get ready for me reading some, you know, like I know that the torture scene is part of the book, and it's always tough because it's pain that no man would ever want to fear. But anyway, um, so apparently the game starts. The Royale, the chief, being part of the table, along with Felix and all that, is probably it's the next chapter by the sound of things. And I will end off with this. This is the chapter that ends with it's a chapter that has chapter 7 has Bond creating a Sin Martini, the Vesper Martini, but he at this point hasn't named yet. He hasn't named it yet. So um I kind of it's kind of cool. I actually thinking if I when I finish reading COAL, I kind of want to buy myself a bottle of Vesper just to and drink it for the first time, just to know, just as a celebration of finished my first Bond book. I finished my first Bond book. Um, I kind of want to do that, but it is quite. I don't know. It was kind of weird to be like, wait, I recognize this dialogue. I recognize.
Dry martini.
Oui, monsieur.
Wait. 3 measures of Gordon's, 1 of vodka, half a measure of Kina Lillet. Shake it over rice, and then add a thin slice of lemon peel.
Yes, sir.
It was weird. I won't lie. It was quite weird. But anyway, if you read these 3 chapters and read chapter 7, comment below. Let me know your thoughts.